everybody, it's Tuesday night, and that means it's That's Cool Drink Night. Episode 26 is tonight, and I've got Pat Cook. And if you guys don't know Pat, Pat rode the GROM for his first year, and we'll talk to him all about that. 22 second, roughly, I think was what that thing ran, and he took it on the Rocky Mountain Race Week version of Rocky Mountain Race Week, which means like 10,000 feet of altitude. We've got some pictures of it, and we'll talk to him about it a bunch, and it's going to be really fun. But this is pre-trailer Pat, and we'll talk. You know, we have it later. We talk about trailer or no trailer, and I bet you we have a trailer convert now. And either way, this is super duper cool. I'm excited to have him on. But first, guys, I got to brag a little bit. I've been working from home, so I have a little bit of time to kind of check out options for ways to host this as an actual podcast, and I have it as an actual podcast now. So That's Cool Drink, the podcast, is up. It's being hosted on Blueberry. That's BLUBRRY, Blueberry, and it's being simulcast on Apple at the moment, and I believe Google. I'll have to double check all what it's blasting out to and what has been finished. There's been a lot of weird road bumps in that, but at a very minimum, you can download it from Blueberry or from Apple, and you can listen to them as you go throughout your day or do whatever you're going to do. So I'm really, really excited about that. So it's a big step for this world. I did get three of those uploaded, the very first three, to that Blueberry account. And I ran out of space. So there's a lot more to come. I can't get more space without spending more money. I begged them and pleaded, and it just never happened. So it is what it is. But that said, guys, I'm super excited about that. But tonight, that's the other thing. If you're listening to the podcast in the future, I obviously didn't plan on this being a podcast until recently. So there's a lot of stuff that I do on here with photos and stuff. Moving forward, I'm actually going to kind of describe the photos a little better. So it's going to be better for an audio only audience. So just so you know. That said, guys, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the dude that rides the GROM on Dragon Drives, and like I said, upgraded this year, I think, to a whopping 400 cc's. But the man, Mr. Pat Cook.
How's it going?
Not bad, man. I'm having a fantastic evening, and I'm really excited to get to dig into a little bit of your background and see like at what point exactly you became a crazy person.
I think I was pretty much born with it. And have just gone from there.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. But, so, I mean, fresh off of race week. I kind of made a joke about that. There's a local DJ in Denver that had Matt Frost on right after drag week. And he said, fresh off of drag week. And I said, you can't really be fresh off of any of this stuff. Like you kind of beat the crap out of yourself. But
it's like worn out and exhausted off of drag week or race week.
Yeah, totally, man. But that said, fresh off. Let's touch on the most recent one first, and then I want to dig into the past. And then we'll kind of lead up to this one.
All right.
But so the red bike, a 400 CBR.
It's a Ninja.
Oh, Ninja. Kawasaki. Okay, yeah. Got it. So that's it. There.
Yep, that's it this summer.
Nice.
With that world famous car next to it.
Yeah, that's right. The world famous and record setting. Brooks Flehardy. I'll have him on at some point.
Oh yeah, he's cool too. But yeah,
what did you think about the last, this last race week event and the last one there, and got to go out to Bandimere and bring our normal flatland folks out to Bandimere and doing it on something with more than 18 horsepower.
Oh, it was a blast. Like I was cruising like 80, 85 a lot of the time.
Hell yeah.
And with the trailer and everything, so it was nice and comfortable for the most part. Yep,
So we
that thing.
I did I touched on this kind of on the way on the little blue teaser beforehand, but um, trailer like
Yep,
that's a big move for you,
it is, because that thing, the trailer probably weighs as much as the Grom did.
right?
But yeah, it was nice having the space without having to unload everything off the back of the bike every day.
Yeah, for sure. And
That's
like this
a
is
pain.
kind of typical.
Yep, that or with saddlebags, but yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and that's I mean, and if you're brand new to this, and I mean obviously the four people watching aren't likely brand new to this, but
Yeah.
if you're brand new to this, you still have to bring all of your stuff to live for a week. So
Hmm.
um, I'm sure, like no doubt, the trailer, like this just improves your life.
It's such a game changer because even like just all the stuff in there, because my tank bag up on the gas tank, it just clips on, and I always carry my drinks and gloves and stuff in there. So it's like all the only stuff I need is right there with me, and everything else I can ignore and just unhook real quick at the track, and I'm ready to go.
Heck yeah, and this picture taken outside of Bailey, Colorado, and that's Coonrod's
Yeah.
international spot, and that's a spot. I had a bunch of scouts growing up, and so
Oh yeah.
that was the joint, and he moved from Conifer to Bailey, but
Hmm.
but yeah, that if you needed parts for
Cool little
your
stretch of road.
needed parts for your binder, that became our drive, and we had to
Yeah.
take our garbage scouts up the hill to get parts
Hmm.
for our garbage scouts. It's yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. I stopped there, and I think Red Hat Scotty and somebody else were actually parked on the other side of the road, and I'm like, "There's people here. I won't be the only one here. I'm gonna stop and get a drink."
Heck yes, heck yes.
Because really,
Um,
the other nice thing I did with the bike that was great for 2.0 especially was heated grips.
oh,
So I
nice.
had warm hands the whole trip.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. And it did get. I mean, it got cold, cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially by the end there, and like that last day when we were waiting for that grudge race that you handed me
Mhm.
my ass in.
By just a little bit.
Yeah, but it happens. But
Yeah.
you waited. I saw you sitting out in the staging lanes, just hanging out,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was. I mean, we were getting down into the. It had to be in the 40s,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Yeah, up
on a
until the
bike.
last couple days, I hadn't seen 40-degree weather since
Yeah,
because I'm like 5 hours now north of home.
right, right. So so yeah, dude. So that was ended up being a good trip for you.
Hmm.
Obviously I don't think you've ever had any issues like on the road or anything like that with any of your trips. So
Not really,
knock
but
knock
most
on
of my
wood.
vehicles are pretty much stock so far.
Right, right. Which is the key for reliability
Yep.
for sure. But yeah, like very very cool. I
Hmm.
think you maybe set a record for the most passes. I mean, every time I called you, you were up running.
Yeah, I think there was only a couple times when I was at the track I missed, and it was usually because I was helping the other guys getting ready or talking and wasn't paying attention.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I made quite a bit. Other than Carney, I think I made two passes and disappeared and didn't get rained on.
Yeah. Definitely. So
You got to rub that one in.
what brought you to being a motorcycle dude? Like, I mean, I know you sent me those pictures of you kind of, you like young and
Hmm.
like you're a motorcycle dude already. So
Yep.
like, are you just sort of bred a motorcycle dude and a little bit of a nut job?
A little bit, yeah, because like I grew up like pretty much as far as I can remember. Like my dad went to college at Laterno in Longview, and they did go kart races every summer. And
Okay.
I sent you that picture, like 4.5-year-old me. But like I was pretty much hooked by then already. But
And you can
yeah,
tell. I
every
mean,
couple times a year on campus they were racing.
you can tell. I mean, the look in your eye right here, you're just like, okay, well, like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
it. I'm done. Like, I'm
Hmm.
stuck.
And then like I think I was like 8 or 9 when I was finally old enough to ride my dad's motorcycle behind him and could fit. And I grew up in Western New York State at that point. We actually rode to Christmas one year on the bike. Like, there's a picture of me.
Oh
I,
God.
I had my picture in the paper as like a 9 or 10 year old on the back of some dude's Harley doing motorcycle games in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Hell yes.
Well, like stuff like that growing up forever. And then, well, when I was like 13, 14 years old, we had mini bikes. And yeah, I've just been riding ever since.
It's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, so and you've been always riding, and you're also you're a gearhead too. Like you've got a
Yep.
lot of other, I mean, even four wheeled kind of history. And like I pulled
Mhm.
up and showed you kind of a forehand there.
Yep.
I found a BMW with a Windsor Ford stuffed under the hood.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 92 or 93 3 Series BMW with that in it, which fits really well as long as you route the driver's side exhaust around the front of the motor and out the passenger side.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I had that and I traded it for. I keep making bad decisions and trading vehicles.
Story of my life. I got a buddy Jack, like always upgrades, and
Mhm.
that dude's gotten himself some like cool stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I go the other way.
Yeah, I have that same problem. Like, I can't have I get a new daily like every 3 or 4 years and it's never anything new. I've had
Happens.
a Jeep and two different EcoBoost Mustangs, and my pickup I have now, and a couple others thrown in the mix.
And
And then
Miatas.
mhm, four of those.
I mean,
Uh,
Miatas.
yep. Yeah, that was my first one that I actually traded for the BMW,
Okay.
and kind of regret that because that one was pretty clean. It needed like an AC compressor and a couple switches, and it would have been pretty much perfect. I
I'm
mean, it
I
was absolutely gutless because a little tiny motor, but
Right. I know like almost nothing of Miatas other than my buddy used to road race, and he had a
oh yeah.
improved touring B car.
Hmm.
But I think the improved touring A class, I can't remember exactly. One of them had me, or no, it was spec Miatas or something like
Oh yeah.
that. And so it was like you had a stock motor, and even down to the intake and the air filter and everything. And you
Oh
could do
yeah.
suspension stuff and junk like that, but it was wheel to wheel road race stuff, and yeah, they were loud and they were slow.
Hmm. But you can thrash them to no end, and they just take it and keep right on going.
Which I mean, you got to love them for that.
Oh yeah. But I've had that one. I had a white one after that with a hard top that I got rear-ended with, and it bent the whole back half of the car up. Then I had another one for a little while, and it had a whole bunch of rust issues. And now I've got another one that has no body, so it can't have rust issues.
Oh, well, perfect.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah. What do you currently own car wise? Four wheels.
So I've got my pickup, which is just a 4 door F-150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost. That's all stock and boring and perfect that way.
Right.
I've got 90 Miata with no body or anything, all working on putting a cage and stuff in it. And then I've got a 64 MG midget that's just a bare roller right now.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm trying to decide what I want to do with that thing, whether it's I do like a little tiny gasser or do like a T-bucket style with it or something.
That'd be cool. Can you Miata swap?
Engine and drivetrain, yeah, but a Miata is way bigger.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think a Miata has like 15 inches more wheelbase and it's like almost 10 inches wider.
Jeez.
Yeah. It
Wow.
I side
And
by
I
side
thought
it's crazy.
Miatas were teeny, but I
Mhm.
mean, and they are,
Oh yeah.
but that's
Yeah, I have to take seat rails and everything out of them so I can fit in a Miata.
okay.
Too tall. But then they're comfortable.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, what led you to Rocky Mountain Race Week, and then on top of that, why on a Grom?
So it's kind of two separate stories. The first one actually starts in like 2019, 2020. watching Flying Sparks Garage, and when Matt did the second race week that year, y'all went through where I grew up in Kansas because I've
Okay.
lived in like 4 different states growing up, all over the place, and I'm just like, that looks really cool. I should do that. And then listening to Mike Narks talking about it afterwards, catching his podcast because I'm road service, so I have hours to listen to everything every day.
Right.
And he kind of made me want to do it. So I was actually signed up for 2.0 in 2021
Okay.
with the 250 GROM, which has made it to no race week so
Right.
far. Yeah, that thing. It's failed a few times on me, and I need to suck it up and get it working, but it hasn't yet. And it failed, and I just didn't have a backup in 2021. So I messed with it, got it all working for 2022, and then like 3 weeks out, it failed, and I got mad at it and went, "Fine, I'll just get another Grom,"
And
because I had
it'll
all
just
the luggage and everything. And yeah, that's with. Oh, no, it's not on day one, but yeah, day one I showed up with a bone stock Grom with 180 miles on it.
heck yes. This is at the shootout
Yeah, that's on the last day at Great
on the
Bend.
last day. Yep. Yep.
Yep,
And you can see I think Robert Walton
I
is
think
behind
so.
you there. And yeah, he was like, I've never spotted anyone that much time ever. Because I think
Yeah, it was
you
crazy.
you were dialed 22 something. And I think that
Yeah,
was he's maybe a 12-second car or something like that. So you
yep.
made it a few rounds in that even.
Yeah, I think I was out the third round then. This year I got knocked out like the second round both times. But yeah, I did pretty good
Yeah,
for
heck yeah.
not having any practice at that point.
So you had a modified Grom what size is the motor in the Grom stock?
The stock Grom is a 125
Okay, okay.
air
And
cooled.
then
It's still fuel injected and everything, but
where do you source the 250 from to put in
from
the
a
hot
CBR
rod?
250 or
Okay,
any of the Honda CBR 250 or the 300s, and they have it in a dirt bike as well.
okay, all
Uh,
right,
yep. And then they have a mount kit and everything. You use wiring harness and modify the frame a little bit.
cool. So I mean, it's like a drop-in kit almost.
Almost, yeah. It's not too much work really.
That's pretty good, man.
Hmm.
I can't wait. I really hope to see it. Have you run it? Do you know what it runs?
I have not run it. I haven't even gone to my local track because they do mud drags and everything else more often than they actually open the drag strip. So,
Happens.
and it's like 10 minutes from work.
Right.
But yeah, that's on the agenda this spring when they're opened up doing stuff because they shut down for the summer because nobody wants to race in 105-degree heat every
Oh
day.
yeah. No, hell no.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Um,
it's sad when I come north in the summer to cool off and it's still 100.
that yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you. I moved to obviously Rapid City. I'm kind of in the Black
Yeah.
Hills here, and we've had a couple of cold days, but it's been nice. It's been great so far. I mean, December
Hmm.
5th, knock on wood. Tomorrow is supposed to be like 68 degrees. It's insane.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty much the same as here today.
I'll take it, man, all day,
Hmm.
all
Yeah,
day.
I'm not a fan of snow, so I just moved as far south as I could.
Attaboy.
Yep.
So this thing was like brand new.
Yep.
I mean, it's got a paper tag and
Yeah, I got my plates in the mail like 3 days after I got home from race week.
heck yeah. But
But
so yeah, so you just decided, here we go. We're gonna go check this thing out.
oh yeah, and it was definitely not always fun, but definitely always fun.
And
If
and
that makes
like
any sense.
again for for Stevie and the three other people watching, like we did you did the Rocky Mountain version.
Hmm.
So what kind of horsepower does a 125 Grom have stock?
Uh, I think around 8 or 9.
Okay.
From what all I've heard, I kind of want to throw it on the dyno. I just haven't had a chance.
So it's 9 horsepower.
Yep.
And so the Rocky Mountain edition of Rocky Mountain Race Week, we go to, I mean, real life 10,000 feet of elevation on the drive. We
Oh yeah.
race at 5,800 feet, real elevation, and then we drive to 10,000 feet in not a very long time. And
No, it's really
so,
not.
if you speak fuel injection, 100 kPa, right, is 14.7 psi, which is atmospheric pressure.
Mhm.
In Denver, mind you, it's like 75 is a pretty standard barometer reading in Denver. At 10,000 feet, it's like in the 60s, like
Mhm.
high 60s, which means if you floor your car, it has 68, let's say, percent of its normal power. So if you floor your GROM that has 9 horsepower at 10,000 feet and you have a week's worth of stuff on you as well, when you floor it and you go to get 9 horsepower, it puts out 5.5. And you
Oh yeah.
go, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
You go like 30 mile an hour up every single hill.
Right. And then on top of that, you add in 7 degree or 7% slopes or 8% slopes. And that's, I mean, that's a real life thing. Like that had to be
Oh
tough to
yeah. Mhm.
do.
I think honestly, I think the worst part of race week was actually the stretch from Sterling into Colorado
Okay.
because of the headwind and all the trucks. Like the trucks were starting to hurt when they passed because the wind just hit so hard.
Oh yeah. I couldn't even imagine. A
Yeah.
lot of those stretches as well, we were, 65, I think, speed limits.
Mhm.
And
Going like 50.
how fast could you really get? I mean, I know in a quarter mile it was mid 50s.
Yeah, I think the fastest pass I've hit like 57,
Okay.
but
So like
most of
if
the
you
time I'm
just
doing about between 55 and 65 depending on terrain.
okay. So, 55 with a headwind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dumb and Dumber shit.
Oh, so much. And then the day headed from Bandimere to Pueblo, um, I forget where it is. Where I think it's after Fair Play, where you have like a mile stretch before your next turn,
Uh-huh.
or it's like 1.9 or something. Yeah, I missed that by 20 miles.
Oh, yeah, a
So
little
I had
extra
like an
credit.
hour to drive back.
A little extra credit. That's
Mhm.
always fun. We do
Oh
that
yeah,
a lot, and that's got to be a whole different thing for you bike guys. Is
yeah.
you've got to also read directions,
Mhm.
and you don't have a co-pilot.
No,
So
that year I
how
was pulling it out of my back pocket.
okay? I
So
was
I
gonna
just
say
stop
how
on
in
the
the
side of the road
hell?
and look, put it back in my pocket, and take back off.
Like
But I've got a big tank bag now.
I've got Shane Werner on in a couple of weeks, and I think he puts it in a little plastic thing on his tank, maybe.
Yep,
And
that's what I did this year.
that seems to be kind of the standard. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess your first year, you're like, I can figure this out. Like, no
Mhm.
big deal, right? And then don't think
Yeah.
about, like, we're going to hand you a piece of paper that you need to get to the next place. And you're, where do I?
Yeah, figuring out the right way to fold it so I can pull it out and just read it, stick it back in my pocket without having to actually get off the bike.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, yeah, that really explains that one.
Yeah, and that was the day I got to Mandamere, and I got there, and everybody's like, "Wow, you made it! That's awesome!" and like cheering me on, and I'm like, "What? This is cool!" It
Wait, I have
kind
a
of
fan
blew me
club. This
away.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Hell
because like
yeah,
the
dude.
day before, June cracked me up because she's like, "So why are you doing this? Did you just lose a dare or something?" And I'm like, "No, it just sounded like an adventure."
Yeah, like, why not? And like,
Exactly.
I mean, you knew Narcs, of course.
Yeah, yeah, from the internet.
Right, right. But I mean,
But
pretty much
I
that's
mean,
it.
yeah,
Like you knew a handful of dudes, and just from the internet, and like, hey, I'm just going to show up to this thing, and
yep.
we're gonna try this thing out.
Oh yeah, and like day one, I think I made one pass that day, and then just left
Mm-hmm.
because I was in Kearney on day one,
Right.
both years.
Oh wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I left that day after Kearney and cruised up there. I think I was in Kearney at like 11 o'clock the first day.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Now you're like, nah, I'm gonna make some passes, man, and hang out.
Oh
And
yeah, I've done that since like I did the circuit this year, and I think the first day I made like 19 passes.
heck yes.
There was nobody in the staging lanes. I didn't even have
Like,
to get off the bike.
yeah, let's just go.
Hmm.
And same Grom.
Yep.
So
The
how many?
only things that's really been done to it between 1.0 and 2.0 last year, I changed chain and sprocket because I wore out the stock one in 1,300 miles.
Okay. All right.
And then now it has different set of foot pegs and handlebars, and I think that's it.
Did you change the ratios at all?
I should have and didn't.
Make it go
I finally
faster?
wore out the stock back tire, and I think I'm at like 5,100 miles now. So it's going to get a new tire and re-geared so it'll rev out better,
How
make fifth gear
many
useful.
Dragon drives has it done now?
Four of them counting King of the Open Road this year.
God, it's
Hmm.
awesome.
There were easy ones this year because the circuit. I think we drove like 300 miles in 2 days, and then King of the Open Road was right about 200,
Yep.
and we had a full day to do the drive.
No, and yeah, they're different.
Hmm.
It just it just is what it is. Like all of a sudden, through kind of I made a post about this or a comment about this. Like the distillation of these have made them so accessible for someone that's just right there. And a
Yeah,
couple hundred miles isn't. I mean, you can do that. You can figure it out.
yeah.
So go to one, but just know that like, dude, the race week franchise stuff isn't. It's not 200 miles. Like that
Oh yeah.
Carney to Bandamere slide is 400 miles, 420.
Yep.
And so like this
And we
makes a
went through
lot of
Estes Park
sense.
through that, so it was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That year yeah, exactly. It's straight to Estes Park, all the way
Mhm.
up and down, and then the next morning we went back up and then down to Pueblo.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean two mountain rides
Mhm.
with 9 horsepower.
The downhills were a whole lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I'll
I
bet.
I missed the Sasquatch checkpoint because it's at the bottom of that hill, and I was doing like 75 when I hit the bottom of the hill, and kept right on going. Didn't see anybody turn, and I stopped like a couple miles later. Like, where is everybody? Look at the map and went, oh, I had to turn around and go back.
It's back that way.
Hmm.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
But you got here, you got the last day, so I mean,
Yep.
first day, hanging out, whatever, leaving early, last day, now you're hooked. Like you're
Oh
ruined.
yeah. Yeah,
And
and I left early the last day, but it was really hot, and I didn't want to hang out anymore.
it was insanely hot. I remember
Oh,
that.
it was so crazy.
It was, yeah, it was insane. And then
Hmm.
we didn't end up doing awards until like midnight. That was wild.
Yeah,
That was
I was
wild.
back in Oklahoma when you guys did awards. Yep,
Yeah.
that's on day one.
Yep. Yep. It sure is. Yeah, exactly. Sure is.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Grom, dude. And yeah,
Yeah.
like Jason Hurley says, like people think I'm insane driving a race car with a trailer.
I mean, I won't argue. I think he is a little bit.
I mean, I think he is too, but I mean, come on, dude. Like,
I didn't have to change a motor in the middle of the week.
valid, valid. But then, yeah, dude, I mean, bam, you're in
Yep.
Sick the Mag.
Yeah, I was in there twice.
Heck yes, dude. Bam.
That was just so cool.
Just, I mean, super cool. Like, super
Yeah.
duper cool. And, like, yeah, how neat is that to just, like, here comes your golden ticket thing in the mail, and you're like, I want to read about all my friends, and then there's like a whole thing about you.
Yeah, I was like, what? Really?
That's
I didn't
cool.
think it was crazy, but I'm like, I didn't think it was that crazy.
It's super cool, man. I mean, it's just stuff that
Hmm.
I mean, I think the motorcycles. We had our first one in 2020, I think,
Yep,
and then opened it up to
Shaggy.
a class. Yeah, Shaggy, and then we opened it up to a class in 21, um, and here we are. And it's now there's two classes, so now even if you show up with your Grom or your 400 or whatever, Dustin Moody threw in an extra $1,000, and so you've got the quickest motorcycle class, and then you've got the most consistent. So now all of a sudden, Pat Cook's got a place where he can bring a Grom or
Yeah,
a 250 Grom or a
I
400.
I can win most consistent on a 400 this year.
Yep, exactly. And you did too, didn't you?
I did.
Yep,
I
yep.
kind of had the unfair advantage because I did. That was the second time around I did those tracks.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's just. I
Eh,
mean,
I'm not complaining. It sounded
yeah,
like fun to me.
exactly, exactly. You get what you get.
Yep, exactly.
So again,
And then I
that's
get
this
double
year.
shots like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is super cool.
Yeah,
And then
that's
you
coming down
did.
from Kenosha Pass.
Oh yeah, yep, for sure.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's got to be so much nicer because that bike cruises. I mean, it'll do 100, right?
Yeah, but I'm usually
So
doing 75, 80, 85, depending on the wind.
right, right. But 85, you're not tapped out. You could pass a guy if you needed.
Yep. Yeah, following when we were driving back from Pueblo to Kearney this summer, I cruised from the first checkpoint up for a while with Dustin and Baker and Roland and Daniel, and we were cruising nice, passing people and everything. That was fun.
Hell yeah, that was. That's all you
Yep.
got. All you cats there.
Yep. We were only missing one, and
Yep.
everybody else is at the other end of the track right there.
Yep. Yeah,
You guys were doing
exactly.
the group photo while we were doing the group photo.
Oh, well, that's there you go. And yeah, just missing. Who are we missing in that one? KJ,
Yeah,
and
with the
he had the
Harley.
Harley,
Hmm.
and
And
he was
he
new.
said he had a blast too. I think he's planning on coming back.
Yeah, new this year as well. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, super cool having you just insane dudes show up. And to be honest with you, like Shaggy was like, let's try it. Let's see if it's gonna work and whatever. And I thought there's no way in hell. It's like we're not. If we do it, we're gonna get one guy that's stupid enough to want to ride his. You know, I mean Shane Werner, Gixxer 1000,
Hmm.
1,000 miles, and he's gonna. I can do that. I do that stuff all the time. Well, then yeah, you put him on there for 420 miles, and he's like, dude, cut. I mean,
I've done
yeah,
it before on smaller bikes.
and then we've got dudes that show up every year, and you guys kill it, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's so awesome, and yeah, dude, it's a very very cool addition
It is.
to the Race Week franchise, and it's cool that you guys have a place to play too. Because I
Hmm.
mean, a lot of folks don't want to race bikes against cars. A lot of folks don't want to race cars against bikes,
Yeah.
and so a lot of times it's just you don't have a place to play.
Yep. And now
So
this year we've had two 8-second bikes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's getting to be super fun.
Yeah. I love it. Like I, I the more people the merrier.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I,
absolutely. And especially again with the two classes, like you
mhm.
don't need to have a wicked fast bike.
No.
You can win. It's the same $1,000
Yep.
to win the most consistent, and you can do it with a 400.
Yeah. And it's a lot of the time you can get like day one's a little harder, but you can get 3 or 4 hits in it a day without any trouble most of the time.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And so you
Mike
can figure it
Narks,
out as you go.
Mike's listening to us on the road headed to PRI. So
Hmm.
thank you so much for tuning in, Mr. Narks. Of course,
Thanks for
Narks.
tuning in, man.
Yeah, he does the circuit, and you ran the circuit
Yep.
with those cats as well, and
Yeah.
there you guys are, and of course
Hmm.
I had Mike and Steve on here recently, but
Yeah, I
um,
love them. They're such great dudes.
oh, totally, and the circuit's so cool. Like doing it for charity is
Yep,
uh, is a super cool deal, but
it
you know,
is. And there's some pretty good burnouts that week too.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and you can
You've
see
seen the
here.
video of Baker's burnout in Galena, right? On the
I
Booza.
have, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, wicked stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, that was one of the checkpoints. That was on the circuit, but that was also one of the checkpoints last year on
Yeah,
2.0.
on 2.0, exactly, exactly. And you can see on the front there, you have the certified street bike sticker as
Yep.
well, which is
I've
cool
got
because. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it's got a race week sticker on the same spot on both sides and the street bike sticker on both sides.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Matt made the streetcar one, and then the bike guys were like, "Dude, like, what gives?" And then he actually made one. Same deal. I was like,
Yep.
"Cool." Like,
And
how
he's
that is
the
cool.
truck ones too now.
And
That is
truck as
really cool.
well. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
super cool that and again, kind of like you guys actually like deserve to be here. Like, and honestly, you work harder than anybody else. You don't have a place to put your stuff if it's raining. I mean, you're
Yep.
riding in the rain. I mean, it is what it is. And that's why it was
Yeah.
like you guys are idiots. You're just,
Hmm.
but I love you for it. It's just the
Hmm.
best part.
I mean, you've got to be a little bit crazy to do race week anyway, or any of the events.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. Um, there's you and your dad at the circuit.
Yep. That's kind of a cool story because I knew I was going to like a month out. Asked if anybody had space for co-pilot for my dad, and he ended up riding with Joe Greer every day
Oh,
in
cool,
his
Joey.
C10. Yeah,
Heck yeah. I love
my
me some
mom
Joey
dropped him
Greer.
off on the way up to go be grandma for a few days. She got to
And
have real
then
fun.
and then you've got this picture of your Grom and your pit bike. So
Yep.
how did you I got to find it. There it is. How did you manage this?
I I took them both up with me when I went to King of the Open Road, but that's I think it's RCF Micro Minis, and that's a 79cc Predator motor in that thing,
Oh wow, I bet it hauls
and
ass.
it doesn't do too bad. It needs some carburetor tuning,
Yeah,
but
but
I took it up
that's a
there
big
and I hadn't gotten the
motor.
brake or anything yet. Oh yeah,
That's a
and that
big
thing
motor
weighs
for
like
that little
25
thing.
pounds.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep. I was still having to stop with my feet. I finally got the brake for it after that because I only had it a couple weeks. My goal was to put that on the trailer behind the Ninja for race week, but I didn't get it in time.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Oh yeah, gotta have my pit bike for my motorcycle. Yeah, a little bit, Shane. A little bit.
Shane, again, I'm trying to make this podcast friendly, but Shane Werner, who I'm going to have on for in a couple of weeks, who also rides one of the motorcycles, says "show off" with a smiley face.
Hmm. Oh
Oh,
yeah. The
that's good
Grom was
stuff.
great because it was my pit bike, but the Ninja's a little more awkward to get around the pits, so
Right,
I gotta have
right,
something small
exactly.
enough.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like it would fit. Like you could totally just toss it right on there, and it would be fine.
Oh yeah. I gotta put a couple mounts on there, but it I wouldn't carry my tent, but that's really not that big a deal. My tent never got taken off the trailer this fall.
Nice, lucky you. I've got a funny
Mhm.
story about that. I had a tent that I bought, years and years and years ago, and I toted it around with me for years and years as well. Well, 2020, I think Rocky Mountain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rocky Mountain at Kearney. My car chews up a lifter, so it's raining, and I'm like, all right, Brad, like let's, we're gonna go to Napa. We're gonna buy a lift, every lifter they own, and I think we bought six lifters. And the gaskets we're gonna need because you have to take the heads off an LS to do the lifters in them.
Yeah.
So we got to get a head gasket. We got to, whatever we're going to need. We got to get head bolts, the whole mess. And I go to set up my tent, and it's just the skeleton. The top. was never in the tent. I had never set it up in years. Like, I mean, 3 years probably. I toted this thing around and never once set it up. So that was very anti-military of me to not test my shit
Mm,
before I needed it, because then I needed it and I was like,
yeah.
great. So we
Mine
borrowed
got
one.
abuse tested at the beach before I brought it.
Good, good.
Mm,
Yeah, but yeah, that's all that fun stuff. When they say, test your stuff, they actually mean like actually, don't just feel it. Like, great, it's
hmm
a skeleton. So I left it at Carney in the trash can.
hmm
I was like,
You
I
probably
don't
weren't
need
the
to.
only one.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to carry this skeleton of an easy up anymore. And Stevie's laughing at me. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep,
Mhm.
I'm an idiot. I know that. And
Yep.
Brad was laughing at me too, and like, dude, what are you doing? And as you know, like easy ups, like they're not small.
No, they're not.
They take up a lot of space, even in
Mhm.
their bag and stuff. So yeah,
Yep.
we're working around this gigantic piece of totally worthless shit for
Mhm.
3 years, and then when we need it, it's like, great,
Yeah.
screw it. Yeah, dude. So you did the circuit, you did King of the Open Road as
Yep.
well. So you did, and that's all this year, right?
Yeah, I did the circuit both race weeks and King of the Open Road this year.
God, yeah, you're nuts.
Yeah. There's a
But
cool story about that one too.
yeah, I was gonna say you had some competition here.
Yep. Kid driving the other Grom was driving a Corvette, a Leroy-esque Corvette with no body, no
Okay,
cage on it or anything, but it killed the clutch, and sort of like, bring the Grom out. You can race still, because he'd driven the route in the vet, and it made it more fun because there were six of us.
nice.
He was faster than me, but lighter and a bike that wasn't completely stock. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think he was running
exactly.
20s and I was running like 22s.
Oh, that's another race week one that got rifled the wrong spot. But yeah, that's 2 9-second motorcycles there,
8-second bikes.
or 8 second. I'm sorry, motorcycles there, and then and then you. But you're still cool in my book.
Yep.
But no, each of those bikes right there, Moody's and Chris Baker,
hmm
both win in the eights this year, and Moody didn't quite get an 8 second average, but was right on the doorstep.
Yeah. And he finished the week on 3 cylinders.
That's right. That's right. Because he had some issue with the head or something.
I don't remember what he said, but I think it basically destroyed the piston on the right side of the motor.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he
Freaking
came out
wild.
he's had a rough year.
Yeah.
That he's on his third third time. I think he pulled the motor 3 or 4 times this year because he killed rings on 1.0, killed a head gasket at King of the Open Road on Tucson, then killed it again at Race Week and rebuilt it again after that.
Wild.
Yep, he's
Wild
hardcore,
stuff. He's super hardcore.
and
Um,
he's got my next toy.
and he's got your RC51.
Yep,
And when you say next toy, that's like that's an old toy, right? Like that's an OG one.
yeah, that
You've had
is.
that
I
thing
got
for a
that
while.
in 2009 after I got back from my first deployment. Yep.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, that's a V twin. They call it a leader bike. It's 1,000 cc,
hmm
2 cylinder, and the V twins are really known for. I mean, just all the torque.
Oh yeah.
They sound different. They ride different. It's a whole different experience than a 4 cylinder bike for sure. But
Oh, it's
that's
great.
kind of in its day. That was sort of the king dingaling. I mean that.
Yeah, it was because the race classes it were is in road racing. It was 1,000 cc twins and 754 cylinders, and it was Honda and Ducati with the twins, and everybody else with four bangers.
Right.
And Honda went out and won, I think, World Superbike and US Superbike both with it.
Yeah, and it's yeah, they're wicked. And I've only ridden
Oh,
one and I didn't really ride it with anger. But I've only ridden one, and I was telling you, I think I rode my buddy's TL
Mhm.
1000, which is
Yeah.
a similar motorcycle. It's a Suzuki, but it's probably, I mean, 20 or 25 less horsepower than an RC 51.
Yeah, because I think an
They're
RC is right about 130, and I think the numbers are like 65 or 70 foot-pounds of torque.
right, right, and it's, I mean, that it sounds small for, a car guy that's like, I got 1,000 horsepower, but it's all power to weight. I mean,
Oh yeah,
135 horsepower, and I mean, what do those even weigh? I don't even know.
I think that's about 480 pounds. It's pretty
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah, but still, I mean,
Still, yeah.
480 with a 200-pound rider is, you're sub
Hmm.
700
Yep.
with 135 horsepower, and like, again, in the day, like a Honda Civic made like 90.
Yeah, that thing makes
So
more horsepower than my Miata.
right, right, exactly. Yeah, and even Dash had a TL 1000. We were just yeah, the TL
Yeah.
1000, man. That's
Hmm.
yes, they're wicked. V
Oh yeah,
twin superbike stuff
and it
is sweet.
revs really well because it's like I think it's like a 100 millimeter bore, like a 63 or 4 millimeter stroke. So it's like basically a 4-inch bore motor
Right.
that's really short stroke.
Yeah, totally. And then you can fit all the valves in there like crazy. Um,
Yep.
yeah, they're just, those things are sweet, super duper
Yeah.
cool. But he's working on it now,
Yep.
and basically like full resto kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. The only thing basically that won't be stock is it's got different brakes on it because I can get better pads for a newer brake.
Okay,
Um, I've got an adapter, and then there's some Brembo calipers for the front, and then it's got a exhaust on it and a couple other like era specific like intake mods.
okay.
And he's going to build a hitch for it because trailer is life.
I mean, now it is.
Yeah.
It's funny how your life gets ruined via drag and drive, because
Oh yeah.
everything you own needs to be able to drag and drive.
Hmm.
So, in
Yeah, that
fact,
bike will make it out once or twice. I don't know how many times, but it's a rare classic, and even like coolant hoses have ridiculous lead times sometimes.
oh yeah, for sure. And actually, the my other buddy had the predecessor to that. He had the Superhawk,
Oh yeah.
which is it's kind of a hybrid bike. It's not like a super bike, but it was the 996 V twin, liquid cooled. It was, kind of a half naked bike. I rode the crap out of that motorcycle.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's just such a cool bike, and I'll be really excited to see, after Dustin gets done with it,
Yep.
what he gives you back.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's kind of going to be one of those he's working on it between other stuff type deals,
Mhm.
but I'm completely okay with that. It's been parked for about 7 years now, so I can wait another year. I mean, it's not that much.
Yeah, and it like same deal. If you tuned into the Vince Rui show, and if you, that's a good segue. If you're watching, if you're one of the 10 people watching now, good for you. Hey,
Hmm.
um, or if you're listening in the future, you can watch these after the fact as well. YouTube may put in a commercial here and there, but Vince Rui was on, with his, and he's got my Monza, and that was my very first car, and it was kind of we have the same deal. Like, here's my car, work on it when you can work on it, and I'm really not in a huge hurry for it, and in fact, I got no place to put it, so like, thanks, enjoy it. But it's funny how the race week kind of family end up with each other's stuff, because we trust each other, we know each other, there's kind of a bond, and
Hmm.
you fixed my stuff, thank you.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because like Dustin and Baker both are within 45 minutes of where I grew up in Kansas
That is so
and hadn't
cool.
been there in years. And like Dustin worked in the town where I grew up. Baker delivered for UPS there at one point. I'm like, this world's a whole lot smaller than it seems sometimes.
It really is. It really is. And once you start actually like talking to people, you realize all those connections that are, and shorter than you thought they were.
Yeah.
And really, especially when you start getting out on the road, and I mean, it, if you told me I had to drive 12 or 13 hours to go do something, be like, man, that's a long way. But then when you do it on race week, it's a whole different thing. Like you're with your homies, you're having fun, you got stickers all over your stuff. People think you're a rock star and you end up being a rock star. I mean, you end up in a freaking magazine
Oh yeah.
on your Grom.
Yeah,
Like
on the Race Week YouTube channel and stuff like that.
totally. Like yeah, it's just cool. It's super cool stuff. Like
Hmm.
just kind of get a dude like out of his shell a little bit and like check it out. Like
Exactly.
here it is. You mentioned that last section, your deployment, and you're a vet as well. So
Yep.
thank you for your service. And you did some Afghanistan time, right?
Yep. I was in the Army 8 years and did 2 tours, 15 months, and then 6 months because I left early the second time.
Okay, all right.
And then Fort Campbell, Fort Hood, and then Korea 2 different times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I played him in ping pong ball.
When were you at Campbell?
I was there in 2006 to early 2008.
Okay. I deployed with fifth group in 2007.
Huh.
So,
I did driver's training with fifth group.
oh, well, there you go.
I got to play on ATVs for my driver's training.
Hell yes.
It definitely wasn't because I lost my certificate though. No,
Not had
do
nothing to
that.
do with that. No,
No,
nothing to do with
no.
that.
Yeah,
Um, so what'd you do in the army?
I was my construction equipment mechanic,
Okay, all right.
which I had the upside. All the other guys go to the East Coast, Aberdeen and Jackson for training, and I got to get lost in the woods for 6 months.
Okay,
Go to Fort Leonard Wood,
nice,
but
nice.
yeah,
But
I
there's
worked on. Yep, there's me and my wrecker,
yeah.
hot and sweaty. That was my second deployment. I was a wrecker operator. We were a route clearance unit.
Okay,
So I basically sat around in a wrecker all day and then worked really hard for 20 minutes and then sat around in the wrecker again.
yeah. Is that a Hemet based?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That was
again,
one of the new Hemmets with the big C15 cat motor and all that fun stuff.
nice. Hell yes. Here, I'll have to pull it up because you um,
I probably
can't
have a
really talk about
picture.
it without knowing. But
Yeah,
but if
it's
you're listening, it's an eight wheeled. It's got like a V shaped hole in the front. Here's a good picture of it.
mhm,
That's a cargo one though. That's not a wrecker. But
yeah.
they're really neat and they're huge.
Oh,
And
you can drag another wrecker hooked up to an MRAP behind it.
oh yeah. Oh, I'm
We've done
sure.
that. You can break all but one front axle and then tow a semi and a 53-foot low wheelie behind it. And it's only
Nice.
scary when the engine brake comes on.
I'll bet actually. I'll bet. Here, I found one. Hold on one second. I have to share my screen here, but that's cool. I actually have never met a Hemet person before.
Mhm.
So
I my unit had me drive the record because I was trying to drive them, even though I pretty much just got myself licensed on them and then drove them. Yep.
nice. I did the same thing with an LMTV.
Mm.
I was
I
like,
avoided those wreckers for all I was worth.
oh, I'm sure that would be a crappy wrecker.
Oh yeah.
This is an LMTV. Oh, hold
Yep.
on. Oh my God,
The one you
there it
see painted
is.
red is fire trucks all over the place now.
It's trying. Where is it? Come on now. Oh God.
Nick drove when pulling a furler through downtown Seoul. I didn't get that lucky. I only drove LMTVs through Seoul.
Okay. All right. But anyway, yeah, Hemet. That's a big deal. But that's yeah. So,
Yeah.
couple of both your deployments to Afghanistan.
They were my first deployment. I was with construction equipment or horizontal engineers with bulldozers and scrapers and all that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
And so I pretty much would sit around until they broke something bad enough they couldn't fix it on their own. Because most of them have enough common sense to know how to fix their own equipment.
Yeah, most.
Yeah, there's a few, but they usually got weeded out and put on guard duty.
Yeah, exactly. Go stand over there and draw a, you know,
Yeah,
draw a range map.
I do have my funny deployment story. I have though is we had Buffalo, which is if you've seen Transformers, I think it was the first one where there's the big military vehicle with the arm that's flipping cars. It was one of those, except the arm isn't big enough to flip cars. Well, the unit we replaced had it and put a whole bunch of lights down the side of it so they could see better. Except
Okay.
they just hooked them up to whatever wire they felt like. And so it took the civilian contractors that fixed it about 3 tries. Well, one of the tries we took it out convoying with us, just on a short day trip out with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lucky in driving the wrecker that day. So we stopped because it had issues and stopped working. Well, my buddy runs up there for like TC to look at it. Yeah, one of those things. And all I see is a giant white cloud from the front of it. Well, they have 10 pounds of halon fire extinguisher. They go off under the hood if it senses a fire.
Right.
And a halon explosion poofing out looks a lot like an explosion until you realize there was no boom.
Right.
And then
Right.
suddenly it becomes hilarious. I was laughing so hard I was crying like 5 minutes later when he got back to the truck.
Jason
But
Acton wants to know where you were at in Afghanistan.
my first deployment, I was at Sharana and a little tiny place called Fob Airborne that we did a massive expansion on for 10th Airborne to go there. My second deployment, I was at a little place called Fob Farah, and we went from there to Leatherneck and over towards Shindad and farther past.
What I don't know the fob names.
That's
So
um
what towns?
that's I'm trying to remember. Like Sharana was Ghazni would have been one of the towns. It's south of
Okay.
Kandahar. It's like
Okay.
a half-hour flight from, or not Kandahar, from Bagram. We
Okay.
were
Got
we
it.
were we were up in the mountains. Like it was like 90 degrees in the summer,
Perfect.
and then we went back to Texas in August and about died.
Yeah. Freaking
My
great.
second deployment, we were in on the Pakistan side of it. I want to say at one point some of the guys were over in like Mazar el Sharif or something. That
Okay.
was as I was getting ready to leave
Yeah.
because they changed stop loss at that point, so they had to send me home early.
Nice. Good for you. I was going to say it
Yep.
surprises me they let you out because they wouldn't let me out. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll
Yep.
re-enlist because you're offering me a bonus. So,
Mm,
whatever.
yeah, we had one of our guys, my first deployment, that was stop loss for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And they wondered why he was always walking around in blue coveralls and never had his headgear on and all sorts of
Right.
stuff. And they're like,
Kick me out, man. What are you going to do?
exactly. Like he didn't care.
Yeah.
We had
Jason
guys
said
in
they stayed
Bagram.
in Bagram.
Mhm. All our equipment coming in and out because dump trucks are not made to go off road all the time,
Right.
and so they break and get sent back to get fixed all the time.
I mean, even like Humvees that are like, I mean, they're built for that. I mean, all of a sudden you hang a bunch of armor off of them and they're not
Yeah,
really built to
the
do
one
that
and a quarter
anymore.
ton truck weighs like 6 tons, and they wonder why
Yeah.
they break.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And then we got like we fell in on some junk and we went on
Mhm.
our first outing and dude, we're just, I mean, we could go 60. That was it. Like 60. That's it. Everyone else could go 70. So we're,
Oh yeah.
and like
Hmm.
got jammers on and all sorts of, you can't, there ain't nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. Like pull in like guys, we're the last truck, of course. Like,
Oh
could
yeah.
you not like, and I'm driving the dog shit out of this thing, like through checkpoints, like, "Arr!" it was great. It's a good time.
Oh, they're fun when they work.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
exactly.
first time I left the gate, we were convoyed a base that was like Sharana to Ghazni, which was like 45-minute drive or something, at like 70. On the way back, we were almost back, and the Humvee I was driving decided to seize the engine.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, my first time out the gate. That was fun.
Heck yeah.
Like, where
Again,
are we
same
gonna take
deal.
you? Wherever.
Humvees, if you guys don't know, have a 6.5 liter GM diesel.
Hmm.
And if you were lucky enough to get the the post retrofit ones, they had a 4L80, so it had a four
Yeah.
speed and it had a
Hmm.
turbo. And so they actually would go like, I mean, if they were working right, like 70, and that's a pretty. If you've driven a 6.5 diesel anything, 70 is pretty sporty
It
in
is.
in those. They just, I mean, again, okay, we're talking RC51 makes 135 horsepower. A 6.5 diesel probably makes 160,
Yep.
and then you put it in a 1.25 ton truck with all wheel drive and four assholes in it and a huge gun on top, and yeah, all of a sudden
Yeah, they're awful.
you're going 50, and that's all. I mean, yeah, so good times.
Oh yeah.
But either
Yeah, we
way,
we didn't change the oil on the truck on the Humvees. We just changed the engine because it came up sooner.
right, right, yeah,
But I mean, it's the same motor they put in like 90 Chevys, but the big block was the better option.
right, yeah, exactly. Like you could get a 6.5, and that was the gas mileage option. It wasn't for power at that point. This was mileage,
Yep.
and because it was the military, you could run it off anything nearly. So
Yeah.
they bought them in droves and then stick 24-volt electrical systems in them and say send them down the road. See you later.
Hmm.
Dumb.
Yeah, I've gotten fuel bad enough Humvees wouldn't run, but my other equipment would just fine.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah, bulldozers don't really care.
yeah. They don't give a crap.
They'll run on water just about.
So I've got a set of questions that I ask everybody, and so I'm going to start getting into those. And then, guys, on the comments, if you want to ask Pat anything, jam them up here, and we'll start getting through some of these, and I'm sure we'll have a few more kind of cool stories in the
Mhm.
process, and call it a night. But um, and this may not really apply to you necessarily because you haven't really had huge issues. But what's the largest thrash that you've been a part of?
I don't know. Like I've helping Dustin figure out his bike a little bit at race week or something, but like more of mine has just been the struggle of getting places
Right.
because like I usually have enough time and I can work in my garage when it's air conditioned, so the bike's ready to go because I don't want to go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like I
didn't
said,
really have
that may
any
not.
crazy crashes part of that
Yeah. That may not
so
work
far.
for you necessarily. Yeah. Knock on some wood. Find some wood in that.
Hmm. I
Um,
got a good table.
Oh, actually, we should mention that you're on. We called it TDY for work,
Yep.
but you're hanging out in the hotel room, but you build fire trucks.
Yeah, I work for a company that is a Pierce fire truck dealer. So, like the way I always equate it is like I'm a Ford dealer, except I work for a Ford dealer kind of deal, except a whole lot bigger because I think we're basically all of 7 states.
Okay,
So yeah, like they're all built. Builds them up in Appleton, Wisconsin, and then they're all shipped down from there as new trucks. And that picture was when the ladder in front there was brand new, and then the truck behind it was one of the first ladder trucks I ever worked on.
oh cool,
Yep.
nice, nice.
But
And I mean,
yeah,
I guess that kind of equates like that's basically, I mean, the heart of that thing's basically a dump truck, isn't it?
they really are because a lot of them are like either medium or heavy duty over the road drivetrain. And then to run the pump, all they do is they have a basically a power divider in them that runs the pump instead of the rear end. You lock the transmission in fourth gear lockup and you run the pump that way.
Okay, kind of power takeoff, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, except it just runs off the drive line
Okay,
because most of them, all the pumpers you see are somewhere between 1,250 and 2,000 gallon a minute. And so they take a good amount of power to run.
yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, that's a two. Yeah, I
Yeah.
work in irrigation, so yeah,
Yep.
30 gallons a minute. It's a lot for me.
Hmm.
So 2,000.
Yeah, our little brush trucks will do 30-gallon a minute without even trying.
Yeah, that's wild.
One of the branches, the company I work for now, they built a 6x6 with Ford that was at, I think it was at the SEMA show and PRI a couple times, but they build the 19 and a half rim off-road tires
Okay.
and build brush trucks based off of that.
Oh
And then
wow.
yeah, there's some pretty go anywhere trucks, and they've sold them all over the States.
Yeah, totally. And they've got to be like kind of a legit medium duty chassis at that point, so you could
Yeah,
do a
pretty
lot
much.
with them. You could hang a
Yeah,
bunch
and they've
on them.
done their whole suspension design and everything through them. It's pretty cool.
Nice,
But
nice.
yeah, I do a little bit of welding here and there on them, but I work on basically anything other than engines and transmissions on them because, well, there's a dealer for that can do a better job.
Right, right, exactly. Let them deal with that. And they're probably all like cat powered and stuff anyway, right?
I think right now Pierce, they used to all be Cummins and the big straight six Detroits, but now they're Cummins and Packard.
Okay, yeah.
But the big
So
same over the road stuff.
yeah, exactly. Take it to the over the road place and let them deal with it.
Yep, and then all Allison automatics because they're the only ones that make big automatics.
Yeah, but that's cool, dude. That's
That
drink.
is.
You build get to party with fire trucks.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun because they have about the same sense of humor as I've learned.
Hell yes. What is your like? What memory sticks out the best in your head from a drag and drive?
Honestly, it'll be this year on 2.0. The checkpoint on the drive day at the Overlook.
Uh huh.
I spent like it was probably 4.5 hours there just hanging out with everybody coming through and
Cool.
like just talking to a few people here and there, just hanging out. And that's what stuck out to me the most because like most of the time I'm just hit the road and go and be antisocial and hang out in my hotel because, well, it's just the way I am.
That's what you
And
do. Yeah.
instead, I decided to do that and hung out. And I actually drove the second half of the route, came down to the highway, and oh, hey, I can jump back and do the route again, and did that as well. So when I
Nice.
saw you, it was my second time around.
Oh wow. How cool
Yep,
is that? Nice.
that was a lot of fun.
Um, and I think mine from this last was doing that grudge race with you.
That was
And
so much fun.
I've got that video and I'm going to play that in here in just a moment, but that was super cool. That was an idea you came up with and you were like, "Hey, like we're kind of the
Hmm.
same sort of ET, like why don't we give it a go?"
And you're my favorite junior street racer
Right. Right, exactly.
because you
So
had to
like
have your supervision.
got to have my got to have my
Hmm.
supervision with me, and that was actually a funny story. I went and found Stevie, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I need the keys to the Cadillac. I'm going to go race Pat Cook."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, no problem. But like, you know, I've got a beer." And I was like, "That's okay. Just why don't you come with me and I'll show you how I drove it?" Because I had just like a day or two prior to that had a new personal best in that car at
Oh yeah.
Kearney, and it was like the
Oh,
perfect run ever. And it went 1340 or
oh, nice.
1360, something like that, on the street tires and stuff, and
Hmm.
something I can't remember the exact ET, but it was quick for that
Oh yeah.
car. I think it was 1340. I can't remember, but either way, quick for that car. So
Hmm.
I was like, oh well, come ride with me. I'll show you how I drive it to a 1340, and you can do that. Like you'll be fine. And
Hmm.
so yeah, she had a beer, and she was like, well, what do I do with this? And I was like, you can just put that on the floor, and no one will even know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I brought my inebriated fiance with an open container and grudge raced you, and then subsequently was not able to show her how to drive the car because I sucked at it.
Hmm.
But it was fun. It was super cool. And
Yeah.
like I said, like you were like, why don't we do this real quick? And I was like, fine. And like I
Yeah,
said, like
our
you,
ETs between Stevie and I were so close all week. I just figured it'd be a lot of fun.
oh, it was super, and it was super fun, and it was like
Oh yeah,
really a lot of fun. And
that was such a rush.
Oh, it was so super fun. And like I said, it was like you were waiting outside the tower. It was
Yep.
cold as hell. And like it was super cool that you were just like, hey, dude, I'm just gonna hang out here, and as soon as you bring a car up, like we'll race, no big deal.
Yeah. And I hung out at the end of the lanes watching cars for a while. And that was fun too.
Which is fun too, exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, so here's this race between us and Larry, the track announcer at Pueblo. Who, if you never met Larry, man, Larry is a trip. That dude, yes, talks. I mean, goes for it. Um,
Mhm.
like crazy. But here's us. You won't be able to. It'll mute both of our microphones while this is playing.
All right.
Little Honda bike out there. Don't know how many cc's it is, but Adam's in the shifter car. That'd be a Cadillac. Now this is going to be a pro tree. It does look like it. Motorcycle a little bit ahead. Wind light's going to go to Honda. 1431 with a 4. Adam with 1476 with an 8. He had 1 mile per hour, but guess what? He just could not run it.
Mhm.
How much fun is that, man? Like,
That was a blast.
and it's funny. It's like a bunch of a bunch of these people that go on these things have, I mean, I had Jason Hurley on last week for crying out
Mhm.
loud. Like, he's got a 200-mile-an-hour car, and so
Mhm.
like, I mean, obviously that's sort of the pinnacle. And then this looks like a drag race in slow motion, like a drag race in molasses or something. But at the end of the racetrack, like I was shaking, my heart was beating because it was
Mhm.
close. Like you
It
were ahead
was.
for sure, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun. That was a really good
And that
time.
was my best pass of the week, really.
Nice, hell
Like it wasn't
yes,
my fastest, but it was my fastest at elevation and like best launch and everything.
hell yes, hell yes. That's awesome, man. That was so
Yeah.
much fun.
It was a
So
blast.
we are actually I've got a trailer hitch for it, and I've got sticky tires for it. So we're gonna
Hmm.
try that next year. Sticky tires, and it's already got a two-step on it and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that had manifolds and cats still.
Hmm.
And when I moved up here, we don't have emissions in South Dakota. That's one of the amazing parts to it up here, Stevie.
Oh
I
yeah.
love slow motion drag races. That's
Mhm.
right. But we put headers on it, and that thing's like a whole new ride. So
Finally can breathe.
yeah, it's pretty quick, and especially up here, and the altitude's different. It's I think
Yeah.
we're 3,000 or 3,500 feet here, like max, and
Hmm.
like that's even up here. It's like that's the bad air, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like the
I haven't looked at
news
what
is
our
talking
actual
about,
elevation is down in mine.
yeah, yeah,
We're like
the news is talking
98.
about getting snow down to like 3,500 feet, and I'm like, 3,500 feet? That's like Kansas. What are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
Whatever. That's where the hills are here. So it is what it
Yep.
is. But that thing moves pretty good. So I think we're gonna try the sticky tires
Oh yeah.
and that setup now, and we'll see. I've got a new motor for it built, and
Hmm.
I don't need to put it in because the one that's in it is running great. But it's a 200,000 mile thing, and I know it's gonna just do something bad at some point. But like right
Hmm.
now, I think we're gonna run it and see what
It's fun.
happens. But I've got the
Yeah.
little banana hammock trailer, and I moved it as well. And you haven't. I don't think you've seen the
Nice.
banana hammock.
I don't
Um,
think I have.
yeah, it's a rooftop, like what you would typically put on your roof,
Oh yeah.
and it's on a trailer, so
Hmm.
it's just a little bitty guy. And
It's
I
kind of
call
like the trailer that Baker was pulling this year.
correct. Yep, exactly. But it's yellow. It's bright yellow, and I
Hmm.
call it the banana hammock.
Nice.
It's great. So yeah, we'll probably
Yeah.
bring that, and we'll bring the sticky tires, and it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. I'm just gonna bring extra tires with my ride next year.
Extra tires.
Hmm.
Hmm.
For burnouts.
Ah, I like it.
Hmm.
I like it. Is that's going to be the Miata?
Yeah. My nephew turns 13 in sometime this month. I can't remember when. And so the goal is for him to come next year with me and hang out
Nice.
for the week and have fun.
Heck yeah.
He's old enough to junior street, but doesn't really want to drive yet. So
And
I'll work on it, but either way, it'll be fun.
especially Miata, it's got a stick and stuff. So,
Hmm.
you know,
You
maybe
can't
not.
hurt it. It doesn't have any power.
Right. Right. And I guess, I mean, what better time to learn to drive a stick than,
Yeah, and it really the best comparison I can have for it is was it James Bailey last year that had the Miata with the green bodywork and everything?
yeah. Yeah. And it said it had like no power.
Yeah, that's what mine basically looks like,
Okay.
just without any of the cage yet.
Got it.
I got to get the welder out and just haven't taken the time.
Just buzz a cage into it.
Yep. Yeah, I forget where I got it, but I've got a cage kit for it that should bolt in once I notch everything.
Cool. Nice.
Yep. And then
Um,
pull a trailer with the GROM will be back again.
as a pit bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It'll be, are you gonna wear the same jacket and everything?
If I have if Matt will let me a run, I'll bring it all.
Oh yeah. You should.
Oh yeah.
You definitely should.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I'll bring it out and make exhibition passes. I don't care.
Heck yeah.
I can't burn a tank of fuel in a day without any trouble.
Matt Cartwright's
Mhm.
going to bring a trailer almost entirely to do more burnouts.
Yeah, I've had enough Miatas that I have a spare set of wheels with like 10-year-old tires on them, so I think they're perfect to do burnouts with.
It'd be an amazing one. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Tell me about the one that got away. What car, or in your case, probably maybe motorcycle, did you sell that you never should have?
I actually have one of each. Well, I have
Okay.
a couple different cars, but more one specifically. I had a '63 GMC pickup,
Okay.
like fleet side. I think I've given you a picture of it, but it had a 305 GMC V6 in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was converted from a 4 on the tree to on the floor, but like that was a fun truck to drive while I had it.
Yeah, those things
My
are neat, and
oh
they
yeah.
were totally the big V6 was super neat, and they actually made
Mhm.
a V12 of that
Yeah,
same variety, and it was basically just two of them glued together, and then they
yeah,
put
because
them
they
in
made
like
a
big,
305 and a 355.
right, right, and then they put those in like big equipment.
Yep, the Patriot
Um,
or one of the missile launchers had it.
okay, yeah,
But yeah, I that truck it wasn't bad. It had some rust like on the rear of the fenders and stuff, but it was originally a Kansas truck. Then
nice.
we moved it to Indiana, got used to haul wood, so it got plexiglass back window in it because logs and glass windows don't go together.
Yep,
Yep.
that'll happen.
And then it got moved down to Texas, and I had it a while and then sold it because I was into other projects at the time. But yeah, that truck was just really cool to have. And then bikes, I had a SV650 that
Mm-hmm.
had been modified quite a bit because I'd swapped the front forks out, different swing arm, different rear wheel, like done a bunch of upgrade work, and it was ridiculous. It would turn so hard I could drag boot toes on it, like
That is
everywhere.
awesome. That
It
is
was
awesome.
so much fun.
Same deal. If you're brand new to this, it's a Suzuki. It's
Yep.
kind of like a dual sport sort of bike. It's like a naked bike.
Yep.
Um, but I tell
650
people,
twin.
yeah, see, 650 V twin and the aftermarket's insane for them.
There's so
Um,
much out there.
and I tell people all the time, if you are just getting into riding, an SV650 is like the jam because
Oh
like
yeah.
stock, they don't make enough horsepower really to get you into a ton of trouble necessarily, but you can do so much to them, and they're
Mhm.
cheap and they're easy to
Yeah.
ride and they're fun to ride. It's yes. When I was
Oh
here's
yeah.
another fun fact that most don't know. I should be a high school English teacher, so I was student teaching with a guy that had an SV650 that was also an Army guy that had a job similar to mine in the Army. I was a military intelligence guy. So it was pretty funny that I was like, oh my God, like that's amazing that we have this cool background. And I, at the
Mhm.
time, had a GSXR 750 and he had
Oh,
his SV, and I was like, ride your bike tomorrow, and so we were like the cool teachers at the middle school that rode our motorcycles to class. But SV 650 is
yeah.
the jam, man.
Mhm.
I like those bikes a lot.
I had one, and then my brother also had one that he had for a lot longer than I did.
Yeah,
But that was actually the first bike I ever took to the track when I was at Fort Hood. In It would run a 12.5 if I spun the back tire off the line. It would run like 14s if it hooked because it was going to wheelie and I was going to play.
good times. Hell yes.
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
yep. That was fun. But yeah, I've gone faster than 14s and 22s.
Well, I mean, you've got an RC51. I mean,
Oh yeah,
that's probably a 10-second bike stop.
I've run 11.2s with it at about,
Okay.
I think the fastest was like 133 or something.
Yeah. So I mean, right there. I mean,
Yeah, I should be able to go faster, just never did.
yeah. So I mean that. Yeah, they're wicked.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
said, that you could go and buy that, and for less than 5 figures, you can get those now.
yep.
Like probably way less than 5 figures, you can get those now. And
Depends on the version and how clean they are.
right, right.
Because 04s are the Nikki Hayden edition,
Okay.
what mine is, and people want a lot more for them because Nikki Hayden was raced RC51s, raced MotoGP, which is like the Formula One of motorcycles,
Right.
literally. And then, but he passed away in Italy, got hit by somebody while he was training on a bicycle. But yeah, they're kind of depends on how clean they are. Clean ones are starting to get back up there closer to 10 or 12.
I'll bet. Yeah, I'll bet.
Mhm.
But even
And they're
still,
just it's still a great deal for a bike.
super super cool. And I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
low
There's nothing
11
that
second
Mhm.
stock. I mean, yeah,
And nothing sounds like them because gear drive cams and everything. They have their own little whine and rumble.
oh yeah, yeah. They're sweet. They're
Mhm.
sweet. Um, big stack of money. I hand you a big stack of money, and I say, Pat, you can have this, but you have to go buy a drag and drive car or bike. Which ride are you taking home?
It's still a toss up for me between two of them. The Jensen's C10, the
Yep,
66, or the Mackey's Falcon.
that's okay. That makes more sense. So that's
Yeah,
that.
I
I
love
was
that
wondering why
Jensen.
you sent me. I was like, did you just accidentally send me that?
No, that's a cool car.
That is a super cool car.
And like I don't want it cleaned up. Like I like them looking like that.
Exactly like that. Right.
It's not ratty or beat up, but it's not perfect either. So it's
Yep.
like perfect to drive.
That's Laney's car,
Yeah.
and yeah, they're a big Ford family, and that thing is super cool. I should have the Mackeys on at some point. Like get all of them. Like
Mhm.
that'd be like 10 of them.
Oh yeah.
That'd be cool. I should do that.
Hmm.
But no, thank you for sending me those. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is
And
both
they're yeah, and the Jensens are just super cool folks in general too.
right, and they're just both so they're different, but they're just both so totally cool. Like because this one's clean, it's perfect, it's nice. This one's not, but it's a
Yeah,
cool early Falcon,
it is.
and it's quick enough and it's cool enough, and but that's cool too. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I like it. I like it a lot. That's cool.
I I,
Yeah.
I have a non-drag and drive car too. my the I don't even remember what year it is. The Ford Fairlane hardtop convertible my grandpa had. Were fully
Okay.
restored. Everything worked. Like that was just a cool car.
Hell yeah.
My mom's dad growing up, he went to swap meets and everything, but had a variety of like 50s Fords. But
Okay.
you could hand him trim pieces and he could tell you what spot on what car it went from like what years and everything. It was
Wow, that's
crazy.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. He spent years going to swap meets. But yeah, that's the non-drag and drive car.
I like it.
Hmm.
What is the favorite racetrack that you've been to?
For food, it'd be Kearney, but my favorite track has actually been Little River Dragway,
Little
which
River
is up
Dragway.
by Temple. Yep, that's where I
Nice.
raced when I was at Fort Hood. It's
Okay.
just a little like I think it's just 8th mile now because quarter mile, if you're going above about 140, was a lot scary because the shutdown was pretty short.
Totally.
But it's like all the spec parking is in the trees and everything. It's just so cool.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. And then
Yeah.
Kearney for food because walking
Oh.
tacos.
Exactly. Like Bandimere is pretty awesome. Great Bend is too, but they're not as cool. And I think some of it, especially Little River, it's the first track I've ever raced at.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot kind of stuck in that. That's for me. That's Bandimere. That
Yep.
was my track. I grew up at that track. Yes, I've
Mhm.
like bled blood at that track. So,
Yeah. That
I
my
get it.
goal in the spring is to get back there again once they open up.
That'll be cool. How far is it from you now?
Like 6.5 hours.
That's not that bad. You
I
could do
mean,
that on
Ennis is about 8 from home.
Okay. Yeah. You could do that on a GROM. I've seen it.
I could. I don't know that I want to because there's not a good back road route.
True. But either
For
way.
where I live, it's jump on the interstate for 100 miles and then you're near something that might resemble a back road.
Right. And the interstate there's 80 probably, right?
Yes, yeah, basically it's 75, but
75. Yeah. So everyone's going
so
80.
it's like 80 to 85.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the toll road to get there is 85 anyway. So
Right. Yeah. And you're 60.
oh
That's
yeah,
it.
that's it.
God.
Hmm.
We answered this earlier, but we have to hit it again. Trailer or no trailer?
Trailer.
All
I
day.
think. Oh yeah, I think the only thing I would do is not haul a trailer behind the GROM because I don't know that it would go fast enough.
Right.
But I'm not going to do a super long event anymore with the GROM probably, so it'll be
Right.
that trailer. I might modify the back half of the trailer a little, but that's what it'll be.
Nice. Is that a like a Harbor Freight?
It's a Northern Tool because
Okay.
what I've learned is Northern Tool uses standard size bearings and seals. Harbor Freight's all weird metric stuff, but it's cut down. It's their 40 by 48 that I cut down to. I think it's closer to like 24 by 30 or 36.
Okay.
I just hacked it to look good and welded it together.
Yeah, totally. And Contico boxes fit on it, so who cares?
Yep, exactly.
It works.
Yep, that box has been a long bit of travel now.
Yeah. Is that a deployment box?
Yep.
Yep.
I'd buy those and then mail stuff home so I didn't have to carry it.
Same. I've got 3 of them. And I'm not sure. I've got one
Yeah.
sitting out back right now. So we're like, what are we going to do with this? Let's stick it next to the firewood. Whatever.
Mhm.
I think we maybe even got
I've got
something
3
in
or
there.
4 full of stuff in the garage.
Yeah, I've got like all my Army crap that I like refuse to throw away, but I don't want to. I don't like wear it. I don't do anything with it. But I've got 2 Conticos just full of just shit, like old manuals. I've got old field manuals, and I got Ranger handbooks. You name it, I got it. It's good times.
I used to have a lot more, but most of mine was uniforms.
Yep.
And my mom sews, so I have a blanket now.
Oh, cool.
That's on my couch. That's all my uniforms and quilt squares.
How cool is that? Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Hell
and then my blues and greens are still mostly put together somewhere on a shelf or in a closet.
Right.
I can't get rid of them, but I'll never wear them.
Yeah, same deal. Like I've got my grandpa's dress uniform, and he was a lieutenant colonel in World War II. Well, he was a lieutenant in World War II. He retired a lieutenant colonel, but like I've got that stuff. Like that stuff you just don't get rid of. Like you just I've got all my crap hanging right here. Same deal.
Yep, I don't know that I have anything from my grandpa's. My uncle still has some of it.
Okay.
He works with one of the local history museums where he lives up in Ohio.
Nice. Hell yeah. And my last question for you, how about an hour and a half just like that? It's crazy, right?
You mean it's been more than 20 minutes?
It has. I told this time just flies when we're doing this. It's crazy. It's super fun. So guys on the comments, if you have any questions for Pat, I've got my last question, and then I think I'm gonna just wrap it up. Unless you've got anything else you want to add, and obviously we'll just kind of like wrap with it and see what happens. But again, if you're on the comments, throw those in there, And Pat, my last question for you on my like list here
Hmm.
is, and I'd like you to kind of push this more toward a motorcycle contestant. But
Hmm.
what advice would you have for a newbie?
To just come in it and do it. Like, bring something out that's even comfortable for you to ride, but show up, because like the motorcycle class is pretty awesome. And yeah, there's some really fast guys that run eights and stuff, but I think it's kind of the same advice I give everybody: is just show up and enjoy it, like, and take the time to get to know people. Because yeah, race week you race every day, but it's as much about the people as anything else. And like that was my biggest regret last year, is I didn't take more time to get to know people and hang out places. But to be fair, I was in a rush to get places because it took so long.
Right, right.
But this year, like especially 2.0 this year, I put more of an effort into just hanging out places and really enjoyed it a whole lot more.
Yeah,
And that's really what it is. Like, who cares how fast you are, how slow you are? Like, you're going to get noticed if you're a half decent human being and come out and have fun and hang out pretty much.
and I tell people all the time, like the soul of these lives on the road. Like the
Hmm.
racing is what most people see because they have a live stream, and that's that's where the competition sort of lives. But the soul is on the roads, it's on the routes, it's at the checkpoints. There's so much more to it than what meets the eye to the general public. And again, the 8 people watching us right now are probably folks that have done this and they get it. But like if you're tuning in later or you're on that podcast and you're you're catching up to stuff, and maybe I'm like some huge like this blew up episode 28, and like I'm like because of this interview, like we became this huge sensation, and you make yourself to this, but like that the folks that are watching now get it, but you may not if you're thinking about it and you're on the you're on the cusp and you're watching this to give yourself an idea of what to expect. Like that's no joke. Like just show up and you're gonna race, but like
Yep.
there's so much more to it than the race. Because yes, like I said, the race is what it is, and the competition is what it is. But the friendships and the it gets thrown around a lot because of the especially the Fast and the Furious crap. But like the family, like this is this is no shit a family. It's weird. Like
Hmm.
it really is. And there's you finish one of these, and all of a sudden you've got people coast to coast that are ready to help you or whatever you need at the drop of a hat. Like, I mean, you've got a motorcycle getting restored at a race weaker's place right now that, like, dude, 3 years ago, if someone said, like, hey, you're going to have that at some motorcycle guy's shop and he's going to finish it whatever, you could be like, you're a crazy person, dude. I'm not going to, what are you talking about? But
Hmm.
now it's there. And here we are.
Yeah, and like King of the Open Road, Baker was saying, like he's seen me more than some of his friends this year, and I just kind of laughed. But like, yeah, he can't escape me because we've done 4 events together this year.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Exactly. But there is that. Like, we get together and there's people that you haven't seen for a year that you're like, oh my God, and you like pick right back up. And
Yeah,
it's cool.
and it's like so much of the time you're like, you only know them by their car, and I'm like, there's some people I don't even remember what they drive,
Totally.
which just feels weird that at a car event.
Right.
And there's
Right.
a few that I only know by their vehicle. Like I'd recognize them and be like, oh yeah, you drive that white Colorado.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Full disclosure, me too. And it's funny because everyone's like, Adam, oh my God. And I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
you.
I've been doing what I do now for 8.5 years, and I'll show up at a fire station. Yeah, still don't know customers' names.
That'll happen.
I don't even remember what I worked on their truck sometimes because they start to blend together.
Right. Well, I mean, fire trucks, they
Mhm.
all look the same.
Most of them are red
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
yellow.
exactly.
A
Yellow
few
could,
a few purplish blue ones thrown in.
yeah,
Hmm.
but pretty much red.
Yep,
Hell yes.
the good ones are Ford Racing red.
I like it.
One
Is
of our
that like an
local,
actual color?
It's the factory Ford color that they use in like the Mustangs and the F-150s, the newer ones.
Okay.
One of our local departments paints their trucks that, and it's a brighter red that just stands out and looks so much better.
I'll bet.
Like
I'll bet it looks awesome.
like all our trucks that come in, the paint jobs are perfect, but the color just pops a little bit when it stands out some.
Yeah. Well, and then you've got a factory color, so if it ever needs a repaint or it needs like a panel,
Exactly. Yep.
I just need that.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, dude, hour and a half. I'm happy with this. I think we got through a ton. I think we had a good time. I learned a ton about you, about Groms, about kind of everything that you've got going on. And dude, I appreciate you coming on to That's Cool
Thanks for
Drink
having me. Thanks
for
for having me. It's
episode
been a blast.
26. Hell yeah, dude. It was super fun. It was super fun. And again, I watch you kind of in the comments, and you're obviously watching this, and you said you know kind of road warrior. So you have a little bit of this going occasionally, and I appreciate you being an avid watcher as well. So it's super cool having you on.
It's nice having a TV in the garage so I can watch and pretend I'm working.
Heck yeah. Jessica Werner says very cool. Drink,
Yep.
Jessica.
Very cool. It's gonna be
guys,
fun in 2 weeks.
Heck yes, man. I've got them on in 2 weeks. Well, Pat, dude, hang out in the background for me real quick. I'm going to do a quick sign off, and I will have you back on, and I'll actually tell you thanks and goodbye on our own.
Right.
But, dude, thank you so much. And Jason, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to have you guys on very soon, too. So Jason and Joe Rivera from War Performance. I'm going to have them cats on very soon. But, Pat, thank you again. I'm going to throw you in the background, talk to these guys, and I'll have you right back.
All right.
Awesome, man. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep. Guys, how much fun was that? Pat Cook is a maniac, riding that Grom around, and again, at 10,000 feet of elevation, and coming out and having a good time and getting out of his shell and meeting people, and bang, drag and drive, man. It's a thing. It really is. We ruin you for the best ways possible. So, and we love doing it. But guys, this Tuesday is a wrap. We're going to call it. Exciting stuff coming down the pipe. Next Tuesday, I've got John Puckett. If you guys don't know, John Puckett is a kind of a stick shift OG drag week dude. He has done a Rocky Mountain Race Week. He has a Capri, and it's the cool bubble window, back window Capri, and it has a supercharged Coyote motor with a stick in it, and it's gangster. Super cool stuff. So I'm going to have him on. Personal note from him, like very, very cool. One day he woke up and he said, "I'm going to lose all this weight." And he was big, and he lost a couple of 100 pounds. I think at some point, and he won a weight loss challenge, and his car's gone faster. He's feeling better, and he's living his life, and it's going to be super cool to have him on. Following Tuesday, I do have Shane and Jessica Werner on, and that's going to be super cool. Kind of following my my path of having a couple of people on here and there. Husband-wife team. Shane has a GSXR 1000. Jessica has a diesel BMW 335 that also has nitrous on it and ran in the 10s at the Race Week event, the 2.0 event this year. So I'm going to have them on in a couple of weeks. And then my third week, I'm going to have Azim and Aleem Sheik on. And they've got their second-gen Camaro, twin turbo LS. It's been to Sick Week. It's been to Race Week. It's been to Rocky Mountain Race Week. And I'm really, really excited to have them on as well. So, guys, it's going to be a really, really good time. I've got a bunch of stuff kind of planned out all the way out past Christmas. I'm going to really try to hit this all through the winter really hard. And that said, upload as much as I can to that podcast platform. So go check that out. Again, it's on Blueberry, BLUBRRY, Blueberry. It's also on Apple. So go download those, check them out. Even if you don't have those, like get them and download them for me. Like give me a little something. That'd be awesome. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends. Share the link to That's Cool Drink. Share the link to my YouTube channel as well. If I can get more subscribers to this, then it makes more sense for me to put more money back into it and then I can open up some more bandwidth and storage and whatnot to get more of those uploaded on that podcast platform. But that said, guys, happy Tuesday night. Thank you so much. Pat Cook was a blast to talk to tonight. So, Pat, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're tuning in later down the line, either on YouTube, on Facebook, or on one of the podcast platforms, thank you so much for checking this stuff out. And I'm enjoying the crap out of this. And I can't wait to bring you more of That's Cool Drink coming up here in the near future. That said, I'm Adam Dory. We are